Hi there, my name is Matthew, and this interview is a part of our SASAH Alumni Outreach Project. Today, I am joined with Prem Sai Ramani, who from the graduating class of 2018. He pursued a double major in chemistry and SASAH, and he's currently a writer for Lainey Gossip and marketing coordinator for Wealth Health Technologies Incorporated, a health tech startup based out of Vancouver. So thank you so much for joining me today, Prem. How are you?
That's my pleasure. Thank you. I'm doing pretty well as anybody can be right now.
Yeah, I know these are pretty crazy times, but I thank you so much for taking the time to just talk to us right now. And I think your expertise could be really, really useful for current and future SASAH students.
Awesome.
So just to kind of, I guess, start the conversation, SASAH is a very new program. And when we enter SASAH, we know what it's about, but we kind of don't know what it's about because it's a very vague kind of gray area about what we can really do with SASAH. So just to kind of concretize what SASAH is as an alumni, gone through all 4 years, in your own words, what would you describe SASAH to be?
That's a big question. Yeah. I'm not sure actually. I had the same issue when I was a SASAH student. To the point where I actually wrote an article about it called, what is SASAH? And I think, even looking back on it now, SASAH is so hard to define, and that's one of its merits of it. I think the key of the SASAH program is that, students are provided with some amazing resources, access to fantastic professors and course materials. And it's a program where each individual can build whatever they want out of it, right? And so, on the books, on the paper, it's an interdisciplinary program in the arts and humanities that's, building leadership and all of these great skills. But ultimately, it's a toolkit, I think, for the students to be able to pick and choose what resonates with them and build something out of that they can truly take beyond their university experience.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great response. So another thing that I actually want to tackle as well was you had a pretty, I think, interesting or unique entrance into SASAH because you joined SASAH in your second year, right? Yeah, so what kind of sparked you or ignited you to make that change? What kind of inspired that?
Yeah, great question. In my first year, I was fully a science student, basically. But one of my friends from my floor in residence was in SASAH, and we both had evening classes at the same time. Her SASAH, me another class, and we would walk back from class back to residence together. And I would be telling her about what I did, what happened in class, and she would be doing the same thing. And I was like, damn. Her class sounds way more interesting than mine. I'm so jealous. And so I got really fascinated by what the program was talking about, the subject matter that was being covered. It was all these questions and issues and thoughts and ideas that, I had always been interested in, but never really knew that I could pursue or, take a class on. And so just by listening to what she was doing and asking her questions about the program, I learned that I was like, maybe this is something that I could do. And so I had a chat with the director of SASAH at the time, Joel Faflak, and I decided to apply for the program just to see if it would be a good fit. And I think it was maybe the best decision of my university career for sure. But obviously I was a year behind everybody else, so I had some catch up to do.
Yeah, that's an excellent story. I think that's absolutely incredible. I think a lot of SASAH students actually have an interest in science, because you said before you were purely a science student prior to SASAH. And I think it's very interesting how SASAH can kind of be that kind of arts gap, bridging gap between science and arts for many students. I find it interesting how you can kind of have that relationship. So what did you think that was like for you? Did it ever feel like you were probably leaning more to one side than the other? Or what do you think was the advantages really of trying to engage in those two fields, that being the sciences and the arts?
Yeah, I've like, even when I was applying to university in high school, my focus was on science and arts. Like I was always interested in the intersection of the two, and I couldn't imagine giving up one for the other. So even in university, when I started off in the science program, I still felt like something was missing. I think that's maybe why SASAH interested me so much when my friend was telling me about it. Um, I think there's a lot of scientists that need to have some sort of arts. And I think there are a lot of artists and writers who need to have the science. And I think the separation of the two is actually something that's very recent. For a long period of time, the two were viewed as kind of inseparable complements to each other. And I think that's still true to today, right?
Yeah.
In my science experiments and my research experience, there's the questions of ethics, there's the questions of impact, there's the questions of how does this actually affect people, which are all arts and humanities questions, right? And on the other hand, you can have great discussions of ideologies and philosophy, but they all have practical, pragmatic elements too when they connect with the worlds of business and the worlds of science and the worlds of technology, especially. And so to imagine the two as separate is kind of mind blowing, because there's no facet of life where the two are separated. And so I think for any student in either camp, I think if you're a science student like I was, SASAH can really round out your education. It gives you communication skills, presentation skills, critical thinking, critical analysis. All of these can be applied to the sciences. Um, and I think if you're in SASAH, having that logical thinking, having that, rational background, that kind of data-driven approach of the sciences can really inform the work that we do in the arts as well too. So I see them as part and parcel with one another for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting topic that you brought up, how kind of engaging in the arts allows you to kind of better understand the sciences in terms of ethics and those kind of moral questions that need to always be brought up. I think that's increasingly important for a lot of students to grasp. And I kind of
And I
want to,
think,
yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
sorry to cut you off. I was just going to say, I think especially a lot of the opportunities outside of university are related to like tech industries and stuff like that. And even in the arts and humanities, it's journalism maybe, which is completely online. Like there's a lot of scientific and tech related stuff that kind of comes into the industries as well. So it's really good to have that balance.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's absolutely incredible and it's a great skill to have. And kind of on the topic of skills, I wanted to kind of broaden on that and ask you, what other skills do you think SASAH gave you that has benefited your career right now?
Great question. Definitely communication and writing. Are you in second year or just finished your second year?
I'm going into second year, yeah.
Yeah, you're okay. You're going into second year. So there's this great, I don't know if the program's still the same, but I took an effective communication course in my second
Mm-hmm.
year. And it was like one of my favorite courses. It just like dove into the English language and how to write a sentence that's interesting and clear and just like really, it seems basic at the time, but then you go out into the real world and realize that nobody knows how to communicate effectively. And you have to read some really awful writing. Uh, so I really like, that's like a very applicable hard skill,
Yeah.
but I think there's a wealth of soft skills too that really help you in your career. The ability to collaborate,
Mm-hmm.
the ability to be resourceful and research and kind of look for answers. In a lot of times, in a work environment, you're faced with a subject or a project or even an industry that you don't fully know much about coming into it.
Yeah.
And a really good skill is being able to just dive in, know where to find your answers, know what to look for, know how to kind of learn about what you need to learn in order
Yeah.
to start working effectively. And those skills are not something that you can really teach in a class, nor are they something that can be learned, really quickly. It's this thing that's built up over several years of being in SASAH. which I think, you know, is something that's really valuable. And then lastly, I think it's this idea of, you know, critical thinking. In any industry, you need to be able to critically think, but also just in life right now, being able to consume information and analyze whether it's valid, what are its sources, what are its implications, do we agree with them, what are the societal circumstances that it's coming out of. That's really important in anywhere. And that's something that I think SASAH does a really good job of as well, right? Learning how to do all of those things.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. That was very well said. I'm kind of a little bit off topic of academics, but I know for me, one of the best things about SASAH is that kind of small community that we have, small classrooms, where we're able to engage with so many students and engage with the staff and the profs and develop these really important kind of interrelational skills. So I was kind of wondering, what would you consider your favorite memory as a SASAH student, kind of going off, building all those kind of relationships?
Oh, wow. That is such a tough question. I have like a trillion. I'm going to say one of my favorites because yeah, I have too many. But I think this was probably the culmination of all 4 years, but in my final year at SASAH, the seminar class that we did, our group project was putting together student film. And as part of that, we had like a premiere for the film in the arts and humanities. The music building. And so there was like a red carpet, and there was
Really
like
cool.
food, and there was like a catwalk with photos, and I dressed up, and then we like premiered it, and we answered questions. It was such a fun event. Our professor Lainey Louie was there too, but it was also just such a great like celebration of what was an amazing year, an amazing 4 years really, of just all of us working together, all of us being in this class, all of us, you know, spending late nights in the SASAH room trying to like plot out our film. I've made such strong friends throughout the program, and it was all of us kind of doing a one last hurrah, and I loved that. It was my favorite.
Yeah, I think that sounds absolutely incredible. I think one of the amazing things about SASAH is that it allows us to kind of engage our ideas and our topics in new and interesting ways. Like, what other courses could you say that allowed you to kind of have that catwalk experience or the premiere for your film? You know, I just think that's incredible.
Yeah, and I've made some like all of the SASA people are like some of my closest friends because we all think so differently and so similarly. Like it's everybody has a different perspective and a different idea of things, but everybody is also so accepting and so supportive and willing to have a dialogue about things.
Yeah.
Like it was so great. One of my favorite things to do when I was in SASA was try and organize events for people just so that we could like build that relationship, because I know that's the sort of stuff that really sticks with you years after the program.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, I just love to hear those types of stories. It just really makes the program seem so much more impactful than just a kind of academic program. It's really more than that.
Totally, yeah.
Our character as a whole. So kind of just to end, I guess my last and final question for you would be, what advice do you think you could give to future and current students who are watching this right now, especially students who might be thinking of pursuing science and SASAH?
I think my number one advice, I have two pieces of advice, but the one I rank higher is have fun. Like it sounds really stupid, but like I think it's really easy to get caught up in the future and what my degree is, and you know, making sure I'm prepped for my career and you know, what am I going to do, and like those are all important questions, don't get me wrong, but also like being in SASAH and being in university, just like being able to enjoy some of those moments that I talked about and just really like dig into what you're interested in is a really incredible opportunity. And I want to make sure that people are aware that it's okay to have fun in university and that you can enjoy what you're doing. But then number two, for the questions about, you know, your future career and future stuff, I think there are some, like, so one of the best things about SASAH is that you have such a close relationship to your professors, to the to like the SASAH advisors, right? The advisory council and stuff. They are a wealth of information when it comes to opportunities, to career information. They've all gone on some incredible paths. Mine them for information and take up whatever opportunities you can. Coming out of the university, I got my job at Lainey Gossip by going to weekly meetings with Lainey in her office hours and just talking to her. I know a lot of my friends took advantage of some of SASAH's internship opportunities, and those were really, really important to helping them understand, you know, what career direction they want to go. I think at the end of university, a lot of people aren't really sure, and the best way to figure it out or point yourself in something is to just do. And so the more experience and opportunities you take advantage of in your university career, the better you'll be at you know, understanding maybe where you want to direct your energies towards. So be sure to go to office hours, chat with Patrick in his office, or, you know, go see Jen with a coffee. Like, these are some people that are amazingly talented, have incredible portfolios. They have a wealth of information, and they're all just happy to help, which is something unique to the program as well. So be sure to take advantage of that.
Sure to take advantage. Yeah, I think that's an excellent note to kind of end on. I want to thank you so much for joining me for this interview. I think you really shed some amazing insight, especially I think for the SASAH students who are also pursuing a degree in science. I think your expertise was absolutely valuable, and I'm so glad that I'm able to speak with you. So thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. And just a note, I mean, if I'm always happy to help out my alma mater. So if any students want to reach out to me with questions or chat with a virtual coffee, I'm always open.
Awesome. Where can they reach you if they want?
You can probably reach out to Jen. She has my contact information. Or you can read my articles on Lainey Gossip. I think my email's over there as well. So.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you so much again, Prem.
Thank you, Matt.